Keir Starmer had a bit of an incident yesterday, and he was ablaze on Twitter for sure, and just everywhere. Um, Here's what happened. Keir Starmer is, of course, leader of the Labour Party, and he has had a disastrous time of it, really. Mainly because he's just one of those people who basically is a fascist, posing to be the leader of the Labour Party. Okay, maybe I exaggerate a little bit. He's not a literal fascist, but he's definitely a sympathizer in the sense that this is a man who is a former prosecutor in 2000 in the 2000s, I think up to 2008. In 2008, he became director of public prosecutions and head of the Crown Prosecution Service, holding these roles until 2013. That's Keir Starmer. He's at the helm of the Labour Party, which is meant to be at least different, a little bit different to the Conservatives, a little bit like Kamala Harris and in the U.S. It's not exactly the same situation because Keir Starmer is not a diverse candidate, but he embodies some of these ideologies that we see kind of emanating through Kamala Harris. So it's someone who has a past prosecuting people who really throughout his entire career has not upheld the types of ethical beliefs and ethical belonging, really, that is required of a labor person, not least the leader of the Labour Party. He's also clearly a neoliberal capitalist. He doesn't really believe in unions. He doesn't believe in anything. He's a kind of reactionary answer of Labour to Jeremy Corbyn, who, of course, was hated, much maligned, accused of all kinds of horrible things that he didn't do because he was a true Labour candidate. A lot of people still believe that Jeremy Corbyn was extremely too far left. I'm not sure that he was too far left. I think the thing that was disappointing about Corbyn for me is his lack of flexibility, and it's like a double-edged sword because he was inflexible, therefore he never changed, therefore he was at least telling the truth, and he was consistent for like 30-40 years throughout his career. So you can't really you can't fault him for that, but at the same time, he was inflexible on many issues, and he brought a lot of 1980s anti-Thatcherite thinking in literal terms to the situation that we find ourselves in today in this global world, which I think really failed him, particularly his stance on the European Union, and I think he lost a lot of support by not being a proper leader of the opposition when it mattered, when the British people were voting for Brexit, because Jeremy Corbyn secretly wanted to leave the European Union because he, unlike me, doesn't see any hope in the European Union. He wanted to go it alone. So much so that there was speculation that Jeremy Corbyn voted to leave, even though he was he's the opposition, so he's not supposed to vote. He's not supposed to vote leave. He's supposed to be pro-Europe. But he was so bad at being pro-Europe and also, to be fair, as much as I stand with Corbyn, that was a terrible thing he did. The fact that he ran such a terrible campaign on purpose was one of the reasons why Brexit happened and why people today are feeling those consequences. So anyway, that's a really quick introduction to my thinking on Corbyn. There are many things that he stands for that I believe in and that I support him, and he's still the best and only leader in the United Kingdom, don't get me wrong. But I still have a lot of critique when it comes to his strategy from 2016 and beyond. And Keir Starmer, of course, is what Labour loves. So Labour Labor is really Labor in name only. When Corbyn was the Labor leader, there was so much, like, the Labor people really hated him because they stopped being Labor a long time ago with Tony Blair and New Labor and the new kind of narratives, the neoliberalism from the 1990s. They don't really care about Labor. They're not pro-union anymore. They only care about their kind of weird neoliberal vision of what it is that they're trying to do, which is not too far away from the Conservatives. It's really similar to what's going on with the Democrats and Kamala Harris, really, because a lot of it is like, it's like the same strategy, the same wars, the same kind of, hatred of people, inherent, like, disdain for people who don't have a lot of money, etc., etc., etc. It's just like Labor makes it a little cuter, And Corbyn was trying to change that, and they just would not let him. They just would not let him. But he might come back. I believe in that. This is a battle that was lost, not the war. So anyway, Keir Starmer is going viral because he went to a pub. He was like doing the rounds, meeting and greeting people in Bath, in the town square, I guess, or whatever, on the street. You can see it's like a cute part of Bath, and that's a very cute and historic town. And he was kind of talking to people about himself and whatever. And he went to this pub, and the man in this pub went in, like, he didn't go insane. He was brutalized, by the way. That's another part of this clip that I'm about to show you. But the man in the pub basically said, "I don't want you in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go away. Like, you're not welcome here, Starmer."
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning.
Just behind. Can we just
Do you understand?
Shall we go on in?
Thousands of people have died because you have failed to do your job and ask the real questions.
But let's take a look now at a part of this where things go wrong, and one of Keir Starmer's bodyguards brutalizes this man.
Here's the landlord. That man is not allowed in my pub. It's the landlord. I'm not going to physically hurt him. That man. That's assault. I am not bothering you. I am not bothering him. That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Calm yourself down. Get out of my pub.
That guy should sue. He should sue. He was in his, that's his pub. And this bodyguard brutalizes him inside his own pub. This is like the stuff of like, this is like The Godfather or something. This is not UK 2021. Oh no, wait, it is. Because we're regressing. Because of this horrible, irresponsible government and the Labour Party, which has not provided any kind of satisfactory answer to it and has not been any kind of opposition to it whatsoever. Yeah, people hate Starmer because he's despicable. He's just he's so slimy on every level. And you can tell it like miles off that he's a career politician. He doesn't care about Labour, and he doesn't care about the people of the United Kingdom. And good for that guy. And I will do whatever I can. And obviously, I only have like 6 subscribers, but I will do whatever I can to have him come on the show and talk to me, because this is the kind of civic engagement that inspires me and that I think is at the heart of civilization, democracy, everything that we stand for, right? Not just the European Union, not just what it means today should mean to be European or transcontinental or a lefty or whatever it is. This guy inspires me so much. He stands for everything that I love, like just like the idea of such engagement and passion about these issues, the fact that like he was straight on it, he didn't, he did not flinch, he was like on it. This guy is all about democracy, freedom of speech. He loves democracy, and I love him for it, and I will invite him to the show, and I will update you on whether I was successful, because I'm sure he'll be doing the media rounds. And I really hope he sues, because he should. So naturally, once I finished the video, I came across a little bit more information about this Starmer controversy, and a bit more stuff has come out. Number one, the labor side of it, so like the Starmer camp and the Starmer like fan base, I guess, have come out with this theory or allegation that the reason this guy got brutalized was because he was being aggressive towards a female staff member who was there. But there's no footage of it, conveniently. So as you can see in the video, there's like more than one person who was there with a who was taking different videos. There's different angles to like the different takes. There were plenty of witnesses. I don't see any female staff members there. And I don't want to judge people just based on their appearance, but I really don't see any female staff members there. And maybe there's video of it somewhere, but if the Starmer camp is making that allegation or leaking that information out, then surely they have witnesses or evidence. Because so far, all we've seen is a bunch of guys and thugs surrounding Starmer and brutalizing that poor get out of my pub guy. That's what I see. I don't see a female staff member being assaulted or in any way aggressed. If that did happen, that is contemptible and that is not okay of the get out of my pub guy. I'm not like, frankly, I don't believe this story. I think that's fabricated, and I think they're just scrambling for something to say because it's gone so viral, and just the images of like someone not wanting Starmer in their pub, like this, like the will of the people and the people speaking their mind is too much for labor to handle. So I think that's what's happening with that one. I'd love to see the footage. I'd love to see some evidence. The other thing that's kind of like a focal point right now is that this get out of my pub guy is a COVID denier. Which, okay, shame on him. I'm not sure that he's like a full-on COVID denier. I think he's just one of those like people who don't believe in lockdown and don't believe that like social distancing is helping. One of those like fringy people. And that's fine. He has a right to hold an inaccurate, dangerous, stupid opinion. That's his democratic right. I've seen people saying things like, oh, well, serves them right, or these like COVID deniers are so crazy, they're so insane, like that, like obviously if he denies COVID, then he must, like his behavior must have been the thing that provoked this situation. That is just total crap. Like, I totally disagree with that. I'm still with this guy, and I still believe that he believes in democracy and loves democracy. Just because he's wrong, just because he's lost himself ethically and morally, doesn't mean that Keir Starmer's bodyguard gets to brutalize him again. Like, it's so simple, isn't it? And even if he were a Holocaust denier, Keir Starmer's bodyguards still don't have the right to brutalize him. Even if he were a massive misogynist, racist, whatever it is, that is not a reason to brutalize that person. I'm sorry. And I know like a lot of people hold some fringe beliefs on this, and some people still believe that we can achieve a better world and a loving, equal world through violence, and it's just not true. So a character assassination and someone like this using like COVID is, I'm just not interested in that. It's like, it's the principle of the thing. And it's the fact that this is like the Labour Party leader. This is one of the most important political positions in this entire country. The leader of the opposition. And he like literally used his thug to pacify this citizen of his country. His own citizen, his own people. He has no problem doing that. This is like the career prosecutor coming out, the fascism coming out. Not cool. You know, like he'll say, oh, well, we had to do it because he was a COVID denier. And that's today. What are they going to say tomorrow? Is it going to be because like they were like a communist, or was it because it was like an aggressive woman? Oh, well, she was a Karen. We had to pacify her. No, that is not cool. I still think he loves democracy, and I would still have him on this show. This does not change anything for me. Other than I'm obviously like concerned about the people he interacts with, whatever his views are. But so that was one thing. And the guy did say, like he did say to Starmer in the conversation, if you remember in the video, he did say, you let so many people die. So he obviously understands that there's something going on. He obviously is on board with that. I think he's questioning the way that lockdown happened. I thought what he meant was that like the lockdowns were not implemented correctly and quickly enough because the powers that be, people like Boris Johnson, the Tories, they're only interested in corporations and the financial district, and they wanted business to continue at the cost of human life, and Starmer did nothing. I thought maybe that's what that guy meant, but I guess what he meant was something else. He has some other theory regarding lockdown and why people are dying, whatever it is. Again, actually, that's irrelevant because he has a right not to be brutalized by the leader of the Labour Party in his own country. It's very simple. Being rude, obnoxious, again, not a reason to be brutalized. Let's be clear. That's fascism, not democracy. And finally, apparently he is the co-owner of the pub. He's not the sole owner. And the other owner has come out saying that like they don't endorse what this guy said, and that like he would have welcomed Starmer. And I saw some further information about this. And apparently Starmer had staked out the joint like beforehand, so they had actually arranged to be in that pub. Like this is like a deeper like drama about like the city of Bath, UK, and like the internal workings of the high street there, because apparently Starmer had arranged with the other guy who is the other pub owner to go visit. But unfortunately encountered the other pub owner, the other co-owner, who is the get out of my pub guy, as he was going in, and this kind of chaos happened because of this like bad management, bad planning, all of that kind of thing. So there's like all kinds of layers of incompetence and entitlement and stupidity involved in this entire thing. At the end of the day, it's two men of privilege arguing about things that might not affect the rest of the population. I don't know what that guy's situation is, the get out of my pub guy. He is, I guess he's not like, totally working class if he owns a pub, but I don't know his situation. I don't know what's going on with that pub. And I understand the frustration, and I understand the desperation and the grief in people, even people who deny COVID in this way. When people say, well, lockdown's not necessary, is because they've been affected. Their business, their livelihood has been affected by the lockdown, obviously pubs, restaurants, etc. And there's no real government help. This guy isn't working for a big corporation. He's not getting furloughed. He's desperate. And when you're in a desperate place, when you're in a place where no one is helping you and no one seems to care, you turn towards desperate theories and desperate ways of thinking, and I 100% understand that. So I would like hold off on the whole like hate on this guy for being like a horrible COVID denier. Like that's somehow like the worst sin against humanity these days. As long as he's not acting on it in reckless ways, that does not make him a bad person. That shows me that we live in a sad society and in a sad moment in history where people are left to their own devices. They are abandoned by the governments of this world to kind of just remain in their misery like this. And then these types of ways of thinking, these conspiracies and all kinds of things come out of people because they have nothing left to hold on to. What would have been a solution for this guy is if this government implemented a proper social program for the duration of the lockdowns, and if they had a security net for people like him and for business owners, for small business owners, and for all people. Like, maybe a universal wage or a universal benefit that people can access regardless of their situation. People's lives change. People's situations change. There's so much shame attached to government help as well, especially in the United Kingdom. There's like the narratives around it are just vicious and disgusting. So whatever this man is going through, this is the those are the symptoms of late stage capitalism in extreme global crisis. It doesn't make him evil, and it doesn't make it okay for thugs to brutalize him. Desperate people who grasp at these desperate ideologies, we should help them, not judge them. That was the European show. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. It's all very new. I'm still developing it. So all the more, thank you. I hope this will be your new one-stop shop for European politics, society, and the occasional scandal. I trust that you are doing well, that you are keeping well, and I hope to see you next time.